Good morning. We are not here to dramatize the trouble, but to tell the truth about it. You know the weather of it, the racing thoughts, the stacked what-ifs, the calendar crowded with tomorrow's imaginations, the chest drawn tight as if a belt was cinched one notch too far. 3 o'clock in the morning has a way of visiting early, and the mind, like a nervous town crier, runs through the streets with news that isn't news at all. I know that, and you know that. But let us begin rightly. We will name the storm without entering it. Now listen closely. The problem is not the weather of the mind. The problem is the ancient lie of two powers, one to fear and one to fight. And as long as you accept two, you will be conscripted into a war that has no victor. In other words, the mind shouts, and you believe it is either the overlord to obey or the outlaw to chase. Both are forms of worship. Today we are not bowing to either altar. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring the realization of God's presence. When we do that, you will discover that the shouting had no law to compel you, no authority except that which you, in your innocence, lent to it. Take this now, and do not let it slip. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Do not take that as poetry. Take it as a password. Let it be your quiet knock at the only door there is. Say it without drama, as you would present your identification. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. When you present that, you do not argue with the weather. You do not plead with the wind. You step into another atmosphere. You can be in it, but not of it. How are we going to proceed? Not by chasing silence, not by bargaining with God for a quiet mind in exchange for a holy minute. No. Be still and know that I am God. We will be still not to purchase peace, but to witness presence. We will look upon the storm without stepping into its spray. We will let thought be thought, feeling be feeling, while we abide as witness to the one who is not moved. In that witnessing, the energy that fed anxiety is withdrawn, not by force, but by recognition, and that which has no law in itself, like 2 times 2 equaling 5, falls of its own nothingness. You say, but I must get rid of this fear. No, you must not. If you try to get rid of it, you have already admitted it has substance. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring gently and faithfully the realization of God's presence. And when presence is realized, liberty is not manufactured. It appears where it always was. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not the peace of a hushed mind, but the peace that remains while the mind finishes its weather and moves on. So, this morning, you and I agreed to a simple integrity. We will not enter the storm. We will stand in presence. When the chest tightens, that is your cue to present the password. Softly, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let it orient you, not to an outcome, but to reality. If the thoughts gallop, let them. If the body hums with current, let it hum. You are not those waves. You are not that shore. You are the awareness in which both appear and disappear. And in that awareness, in that presence, the lie of two powers cannot stand. This is our beginning. We will not chase quiet. We will witness the one. And as day follows night without your help, anxiety will loosen because you have ceased feeding it the only thing it ever had, your consent. Now let us look directly, without flinching, at the hinge on which the whole door swings. Anxiety rests on a hidden premise, two powers. The mind whispers, this thought will help you if you chase it, this other will harm you if you ignore it, and in that very moment you have admitted two authorities, one to court and one to fear. That is the whole hypnotism. There are not two. There is one. Hear, O Israel. The Lord our God is one Lord, If there is one power, then what is this fear? What is this sentence that runs through at 3 in the morning as if it were a judge with a gavel? It is a statement without law behind it. 2 times 2 equaling 5 is a complete sentence. You can write it on a blackboard, you can underline it twice, you can shout it into a microphone, but there is no mathematics back of it, no principle to enforce it. Now listen, a fearful thought is the same. It words itself with great importance. It brings its charts and its probabilities. It tightens your chest as if to prove itself. But it has no spiritual law behind it, no God to sponsor it, no reality to make it stand. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who authorized that voice to name you, to define you, to assign a future to you? Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Do you see the implication? If the one has not deputized this thought, then it is self-appointed. And you and I, in innocence, have been the sheriff handing out tin stars to every passerby in our own town. We have consented. We have bowed. We have said to the weather of the mind, you may determine my day. In other words, we have been feeding what never had life. Now, you must let this be practical. A thought appears something is wrong, you must fix it now. Another appears, if you don't think this through, disaster will follow. Do not enter their courtroom. Do not plead your case there. Withdraw recognition. Stop deputizing thoughts with authority they do not possess. You do not fight them. No, we are not going to try to do anything to them. You quietly remove the badge you mistakenly pinned on them. How? With the one realization that undoes the lie of two. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. That is not recital, it is orientation. It says to the inner ear, there is one presence here. If there is liberty where Spirit is, and Spirit is here, then liberty is here. The thought that screams for attention is at most a reed shaken with the wind. You are not that reed. Identity is the crux. This stream you hear is not you. This is mind weather. You are the awareness in which it passes, the witness before whom the pageant comes and goes, unhurt by its costume. Take no thought for your life is not a command to become irresponsible. It is the unveiling of your true base of operations. When you take thought for your life, you accept the mind as cause. When you take God for your life, you stand in the one, and the many thoughts, sensations, headlines fall back into their rightful place as shadows without substance. You still live, but not in the same atmosphere. The same calendar hangs on the wall, the same obligations may meet you at the office, but you are no longer under orders from mental weather. So let us establish this standard of integrity. At the first knock of fear, we do not ask, is this helpful fear or harmful fear? That is two powers. We ask, who sent you? And hearing no commission from the one, we rest. We stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. If the body hums, let it hum. If the mind scrolls, let it scroll. Your task is singular. Do not recognize a second power. Bring yourself back again and again to the password, to the one demonstration presence. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. In that realization, error like 2 times 2 equals 5 loses the only breath it ever borrowed, your consent, and it dissolves, not by medicine, not by mental wrestling, but by the quiet fact that it never had law. Now let us fix our gaze where it belongs, because this is the point at which most of us, with the best intentions in the world, go astray. From this day forward, you have no demonstration to make except one, the realization of the presence of God. Not a better mood, not a slower pulse, not a managed mind. One demonstration only. We are not going to try to do anything to the mind. we are going to bring to this moment the realization of God's presence. When you attend to that, you will discover that liberty is not manufactured, it is found where it has always been. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not the world's peace of a briefly obedient thought, the Christ peace that does not depend on any thought being this way or that. So do not let your concern be for quiet. I know the temptation. The mind rattles and you say, if only I could get it to hush. But that is two powers dressed in religious clothing. Do not let your concern be for quiet. Let your concern be to feel that surging of the Spirit within you, that inner assurance, not words now, but the felt recognition that I in the midst of thee am mighty. Overthinking will try to enroll you in its gymnasium. Stop this, slow that, censor those. No. Let the mind clatter if it must. Let it run its weather. You, meanwhile, retire from the attempt to rule the wind and turn to presence. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, not to bribe the storm into silence, but to know, in that knowing, what needs to cease will cease of its own nature, and what remains will be seen as harmless movement on the surface of a deep sea. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Take that now as your password, not as a request lodged with a distant deity. Present it as identification. It does not beg, it orients. It says, here and now, I acknowledge one presence. If liberty belongs to that presence, then liberty is here. Say it softly, with meaning, and then abide. We are not measuring decibels of thought. We are recognizing the one. And you will witness, not necessarily with a trumpet blast, but with that gentle unburdening that the very pressure which seemed to command you thins out, not because you pinned it to the mat, but because it never had law. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If it is not given from above, it stands on nothing, and nothing cannot hold. Now watch the integrity of this. If you sit down to realize presence in order to get a quiet mind, you have split the one and perpetuated the hypnotism. When you say, I am not trying to get calm, you have to mean it. You have to be willing that the mind continue its parade while you refuse to join the marching band. Your singular devotion is to God realized. As light does not argue with darkness but simply appears, so presence does not wrestle with symptoms. It renders them as shadows without substance. You do not chase darkness out of a room, you switch on the light. In like manner, do not chase thoughts. Realize presence. Stand in it. Sit in it. Walk in it. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. That word, the living awareness of God, here is your sustenance, your safety, your liberty. And so, in the very moment a thought arrives with its stopwatch and siren, do not negotiate. Do not try to decelerate it by mental effort. Turn inwardly to the one. Whisper your password. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then let your heart lean into the actuality behind the words. Feel for that inner current, that quiet surging that does not announce itself with fireworks but with weightless certainty. Attend there. Stay not to check whether the symptom has gone. Remain to know that God is. And as you remain, you will discover you still live, but not in the same atmosphere. The calendar will not change. The headlines will not submit their drafts to you for approval. But the authority you once lent to the mental weather is withdrawn, and liberty, which was never absent, is simply recognized. That is the one demonstration. Seek presence, not mind control. Presence itself is the resolution. Let me make this very plain by taking you inside the sound of that old inner voice as we have known it. It runs ahead of you down the hallway. What if I fail this meeting? Did I forget that bill? Why can't I stop this? If I don't get control now, something terrible will happen. If I promise to do better, pray more, eat cleaner, think positively, maybe it will let up. Do you hear the bargaining in it? The stopwatch, the siren, the pleading at the altar of a second power? The body, catching that cue, tightens its belt another notch. The pulse drums as if the verdict has already been read. Then the mind, seeing your attention captured, multiplies its witnesses. And also, remember next Tuesday, and don't forget that strange twinge. All of it is one theater piece, entanglement by participation, fear authenticated by your consent. Now, contrast that with this. There is the mind rehearsing its theater. Not scolding, not pushing it off the stage, simply recognizing it for what it is. There is the weather. And then a gentle inward pivot to the eye that notices. You do not become a better actor. You leave the stage and take your seat in the audience. And even that metaphor fails because the true eye is not even in the theater. It is the witnessing presence in which the theater appears. Be still and know that I am God. We are not going to try to do anything to the parade. We are going to bring the realization of God's presence to our noticing. Quietly present your password, not as a spell, but as identification. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let its meaning be felt. If Spirit is present here, and where could Spirit not be, then liberty is present here. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who authorized the fear to name you? Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Hearing no commission from above, you release the badge you pinned on the thought. You can be in it, but not of it. What changes? Not necessarily the calendar. The meeting is still this afternoon. The bill still asks paying. The body may, for a few moments, continue its old habit of humming, but the atmosphere in which you live shifts, not the absence of thought, the absence of consent. The script may keep speaking, but it speaks into a room that no longer grants it the dignity of law. In under 2 minutes, sometimes in far less, you register a softening that is not purchased by forcing breath or counting to 10. It is the natural uncoiling that occurs when the eye withdraws from the weather and abides as presence. Shoulders lower a fraction of an inch of their own accord. Breath resumes its citizenship without your policing it. You notice the space around the thoughts is more compelling than the thoughts. And you are content to remain with the space, not to achieve a result, but because that space is the felt evidence that I, in the midst of thee, am mighty. Keep the image simple. 2 times 2 equaling 5 can be chalked on the blackboard all afternoon. It does not acquire law because it is loud. When you are entangled, you hired that error to keep your books. No wonder anxiety sent invoices all day long. As witness, you let the sum sit where it is, and you let truth unargued, unhurried be what it is. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as the world giveth a hush achieved by fixing the board, but the peace that is present, while the chalk marks fade of their own nothingness. You will discover that your interest in monitoring the symptom drops away, not by noble effort, but because the one has become central to your concern. And in that very shift, liberty that was here all along is recognized. So when the inner voice starts its old litany, what if I fail? Did I forget? Why can't I stop? Let your answer be no argument and no bargaining, only witnessing and presence. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Rest there. You can be in it, but not of it. Relief is not the storm's promise to cease. It is your refusal to board the boat. Stand on the shore of presence and watch the tide complete itself without your counsel. Let us do this now, simply, honestly, without decoration. Sit as you are, feet grounded, hands easy, Eyes open or closed, it makes no difference. Whisper inwardly, not to the storm, but to your own intention. We are not going to try to do anything to it. Hear that. Mean that. We are not going to fix a thought, slow a pulse, edit a feeling, let the weather be as it is. Become aware of simple being, the fact that you are, not the content of you, the I that is here before a thought talks, during its talk and after it has gone. That is enough to begin. Now, once, perhaps twice, take your password, not as magic and not as a meter you must fill, but as recognition presented quietly, like identification at a familiar door. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Say it softly within yourself and let its meaning land. If Spirit is here, liberty is here. Do not tug on it. Do not repeat it to persuade God. Present it and then drop the words. Be still and know. Words carried you to the gate. Now rest in the fact to which they pointed. Let noticing do the work. Sounds appear, the hum of event, a car passing, a voice in the next room. Sensations ripple the weight of the body on the chair, the spread of warmth in the hands, perhaps a tightening here or there. Thoughts thread by with their headlines and their deadlines. Do nothing to any of it. We are not going to try to do anything to it. Witness. If a sentence catches you, hurry, solve this. Do not argue and do not follow. Simply return to the felt fact that you are the awareness in which this moves. The cloud does not define the sky. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who appointed this thought to name you? Hearing no commission from above, let it be a chalk mark on a board, 2 times 2 equaling 5. Complete enough as a sentence, void as a law. You can be in it, but not of it. Feel the measure of this moment lengthen without your counting it. We are not breathing to a number. We are not painting a meadow in the mind. No visualization is asked of you, no stopwatch, no spiritual calisthenics, only honest non-resistance and a steady turning toward presence. If you drift, you notice you drifted. That is already the return. Present the password once more, if it comes naturally. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and again let it go. The emphasis is not on the syllables, it is on the one to whom they point. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If not from above, then from nowhere. If from nowhere, then without law. Now consent. This is the final third of a minute, and it is not a test, it is surrender. Sick or well, noisy or quiet. I choose spiritual awareness. Say it if you like, or let the willingness shape itself without words. Do not scan for results. Do not peek to see if the tide obeyed your will. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not the peace of a tamed symptom, but the peace of presence recognized, while the surface does what surfaces do. Let the shoulders fall the fraction they wish to fall. Let the breath resume its own wise pace. Let quiet come or let it not. Your devotion is the same either way, the realization of God's presence. Sit in that just a heartbeat longer than seems necessary. And then, as one who has entered and found the room already furnished, let a simple gratitude rise, not for a change in weather, but for the one who is here. Thank you. 90 seconds of sincere witnessing withdraws the energy you once lent to anxiety, and what remains is what always was, liberty where spirit is and spirit here. Now, having tasted what it is to witness without bargaining, let us turn our eyes to the stage on which this whole drama is produced and sold to us wholesale. I want you to see how the world trains panic, not because the world is evil, but because mesmerism is built into the commerce of attention. Think of the headlines that must break hourly or they are not news. Think of the red badges on your devices, the market tickers crawling like ants across a screen, the meters that count your steps your heartbeats, your sleep, and then grade you as if your life were a schoolboy's report card. Think of the dashboards at work, the metrics at home, the little pings and banners that do not politely wait for you to be free, but demand that you make room for them now. All of this forms a climate that whispers one message: be alert to danger, be urgent, be incomplete until the next update can save you. And someone profits by an agitated attention just as surely as a carnival barker profits by keeping the crowd stirred. Do not resent it, do not fight it, name it. This is mesmerism. It is not law. History helps because it strips the glamour off the trick. In the first great wars of the last century, whole offices were established, ministries of information, to shape what millions believed before breakfast. Posters, films, songs, speeches, loose lips sink ships. And after the wars, when the technologies matured, they learned to slip a single frame into a movie. Your eye could not swear it, saw it, but your appetite was nudged. Why tell you this? Not to make you suspicious of every shadow. To show you that suggestion is the oldest craft in the market, and crowds move with it as a school of fish turns on a dime. How? Not by truth, by repetition, by appeal to fear and to desire. So do not be naive. Your mind, in its human functioning, is not immune to the weather of suggestion. But listen, you are not bound by it. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If the suggestion does not carry a commission from the One, it has no authority over your life. Here is where identity rescues you from the net. The body may answer the drum of the world, pulse quickening at a flashing banner, muscles coiling at the word urgent. Do not condemn it. Do not declare war on flesh. Simply remember, this is not me. This is my body. I am invisible. I am the awareness in which body, banner, and drum all appear and disappear. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who told you that your safety or sanity depended on the next scroll? If God did not, then take back the badge you pinned on the voice. You can be in it, but not of it. You can read headlines without letting them write your day. You can meet a deadline without letting it define you. You can feel the body hum and not mistake the hum for a commandment. Now, you ask, what is the way out? Do we fact-check every headline? Do we turn off the world and live in a cave? No, that is just wrestling with a hypnotist's assistant while the show continues. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring the realization of God's presence. Freedom does not come by argument with a carnival barker. It comes by waking up and walking off the midway. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, you see suggestion as suggestion, not as law. You feel the tug lose its hook because there is no mouth left to bite. Present your password quietly, without drama. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from the trance of the world as surely as from your private storm. Do not use it to get better news. Use it to stand in presence. And watch what happens. The same feed will scroll, the same graphs will rise and fall, but you will not be enrolled in their theater. Make it practical. The next time a device flashes, a market blips, a health metric scolds, do not lunge. Notice. Smile if you can. Ah, there is the world taking attendance. Then retire to the eye that notices. Whisper, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and let its meaning anchor you. If Spirit is here, liberty is here. No dashboard can grade the infinite. No ticker can raise or lower the life that is your life. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The world gives peace as a graph trending up. Christ gives peace that remains when graphs go mad. As you live this 3 times a day in quiet and in little on-demand pauses, You will still inhabit the same century, but not the same atmosphere. Recognizing mass hypnotism as nothing breaks its spell and returns authority to presence. Stand there and let the world sell its wares to those who still believe 2 times 2 can never be 5. Thank you. Now we come to the place where honesty must be so clean that even our pious phrases cannot hide us. Integrity. You have heard me say, I am not trying to get well, and you have smiled and nodded. But when you say, I am not trying to get quiet, you have to mean it. If you sit for 90 seconds and then, like a child peeking at a seed you just planted, lift the soil to see if it sprouted. Did it work? Did it hush? You are bargaining. That is still 2 powers. That is saying, if you give me silence, I will be grateful. No. Give up gratitude for silence. Give up gratitude for calm as an outcome. Be grateful for God alone for the realization of presence, whether the surface is noisy or still. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The world's peace is a compliant mind. Christ's peace is presence recognized, regardless of weather. Test yourself gently but firmly. When the sitting ends, are you disappointed if thoughts remain? Are you relieved only if they recede? Do you scan your chest to check if it loosened, your head to see if it lightened those little altars to a second power? We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring the realization of God's presence. If the thought storm still mutters, let it mutter. If the body hums, let it hum. Be still and know that I am God. Be still not to purchase quiet, but to know. Let your vow be plain, sick or well, noisy or quiet, rich or poor. My object is spiritual awareness. Say it and then live on it a day at a time. This is not hard in technique. It is hard only on appetite. Appetite wants results, and results are the world's measure. Integrity wants God. So give up gratitude for improved metrics, quieter thoughts, softer pulse, even better decisions. Be grateful that the one is here and that you know it. If you catch yourself peeking, smile and return, not to scold yourself, but to withdraw recognition from the bargaining mind. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who told you that loudness meant absence of God? Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If the noise has no commission from above, it has no authority to dictate your gratitude. Consider a lamp in a room. You do not switch it on to see if darkness approves. You turn on the light because it is your nature to live in light. You do not prowl the corners with a meter. You abide, and the corners reveal themselves as they are. Presence is that lamp. Present your password. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and then abide. Do not ask the Spirit to certify its arrival with a hush. Let the hush come when and as it will or not, and be no less content. Seek ye first the kingdom of God is not a hint that quiet follows like a prize. It is a command to reorder concern. God first, outcomes last. Now here is the paradox that only integrity can discover. When you cease chasing silence, when you no longer bargain, I'll be good if you'll be quiet. Quiet arrives as an unlooked-for guest. It comes not because you whistled for it, but because you stopped crowding the door. As long as you bargain, you stand in the threshold counting seconds and decibels. When you surrender, you sit in the room with God. Guests prefer rooms where the host is not nervous. Let the inner atmosphere be that hospitality presence enjoyed for its own sake. Then, in its own time, the mind takes the cue and lowers its voice, not to please you, but because the center of the house has been recognized. Hold this standard. Do not let your concern be for silence. Let your concern be that you feel that surging of the Spirit within you, that quiet yes which does not depend on any symptoms behavior. If you can be grateful for that and only that, you will find yourself in it but not of it, moving through the day without checking the scoreboard. and the scoreboard, losing your attention, loses its market. Freedom requires honest surrender of results. Presence alone is the aim. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let that be the last word in every sitting, every pause, and every test, and the rest will take its proper place. Now, let us take this from principle to tool, from high talk to the thing you can place in your hand and in your mouth in the next minute. I ask you to adopt Shibboleth's passwords not as charms to coax a result, but as identification papers presented at the door of mesmerism. Two will serve you all your life if you let them remain living and not mechanical. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. These are not messages you fire across a room to persuade God. They are the gentle presentation of who you are and where you stand. You speak once with meaning, and then you rest. We are not going to try to do anything to it. We are going to bring to this moment the realization of God's presence. How do you use them? Quietly, without strain. Speak inwardly, once, perhaps twice, with the weight you would give your own name when asked by a friend. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Say it, and notice that you are not ordering the storm, you are orienting to presence. Then drop the syllables and abide as the fact to which they pointed. Be still and know that I am God. If the mind tries to pick up the phrase and run it like a treadmill, counting repetitions as if heaven were impressed by volume, smile, stop. The more you chant to force an outcome, the more you reveal that you are still negotiating with a second power. Present the password once with meaning and let the rest be witnessing. Let us give this a working day. In the car at a red light, 15 seconds. Hands on the wheel, eyes with the world, heart turned within. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Then rest just long enough to feel you have returned home from a needless errand. Before a call, hand on the receiver, finger on the button, present your identification. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not liberty from the person on the line, liberty from the claim that outcomes can add or subtract from who you are. At midnight, when you wake and the body hums its old tune, do not wrestle the hum. Whisper once, my peace I give unto you, and then let even the whisper go. Sink back to the one, not to buy sleep, but to let your bed become an altar to presence. 15 seconds. If you have 30, you will not hurt it. But 15 seconds will interrupt the hypnotism because you withdrew recognition, not because you performed. Keep close to the simple analogy we have used, because it is the spine of this. 2 times 2 chalked as 5 can fill the whole board and never become law. How do you correct it? You do not debate the chalk. You stand in the law that silently dissolves the error. Your password is that law in your mouth. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If the suggestion, panic, urgency, self-condemnation has no commission from above, it is a chalk mark. Present the living law. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then attend not to the chalk, but to the life. Do not polish the blackboard. Let truth be what it is, and watch how quickly the mind ceases to hire the error to keep its books. What then are you noting? Not fireworks, not a bell rung in the heavens. Often it is a subtle inward yes, a weightless assent, like the way a door that seems stuck gives a quiet yield under the right hand, a trifle more space around the thought, a softness at the edge of the breath, the shoulders that lower 1/4 of an inch without your command. Do not clutch at these as prizes. Do not rate sits by centimeters of shoulder. They are signals, nothing more, that contact has been made. that you have ceased bargaining and returned to the one. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not a measurable hush, a recognition that does not need proof. Scatter these micro-experiments through the day. Standing in a doorway before you enter a room, pause one heartbeat and present your shibboleth. Opening the email that promises importance, pause one heartbeat and acknowledge where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. At the sink while the water warms, before a bite when the plate arrives, hand on the doorknob of an elevator, stepping out of the car, sitting on the edge of the bed in the morning. 15 seconds to reorient from the market's measurements to the measureless. You are not fixing content. You are refusing to let content name you. Who told thee that thou wast naked? If not God, then the voice is dismissed and the robe of presence is put on again. Keep them few so they stay fresh. Let them be dear to you, not as mottos on the wall, but as living tools that open the same door every time you touch them. Speak once with meaning, then rest. If another phrase rises from Scripture to you on a given day, man shall not live by bread alone, or fear not, for I am with thee, receive it as a friend sent for that hour and treat it the same. Present, and then be still. Do not let your concern be to make them work. Let your concern be that they return you to the felt center where God is God. Use this way, a sincere scriptural password orients you to presence and interrupts mesmerism quickly, so quickly that you may laugh lightly at how eager the world is to enroll you and how effortless it is to stand in the one where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Present your identification and walk on. Now, when you begin to live this way, obstacles appear as if to test the hinge of your door. Do not be surprised by them. Welcome them as the very occasions on which your practice ceases to be theory and becomes life. Every obstacle is an invitation to deepen non-resistance and return to the one demonstration, the realization of God's presence. Remember this as a banner over the whole section. Presence is constant. Your noticing wavers. That is all. Do not make a doctrine of the wavering. Simply return. If noise persists, outer noise, inner noise, the dog, the leaf blower, the neighbor's music, the body's drum, the mind's headlines, do not take up arms against it. Do not apply spiritual pressure to make a hush, because pressure is still the belief in a second power. We are not going to try to do anything to it. Present your password once with meaning where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and then be the witness of noise. Let it be weather in a sky that you are not trying to manage. 2 times 2 chalked as 5 can fill the blackboard and never become law. So can the mind's racket fill a minute and never become authority. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If the noise has no commission from above, it has no jurisdiction here. You can be in it, but not of it. Sit as the sky to the weather. Open, unresisting, unchanged. Be still and know that I am God. Be still does not mean gag the winds. It means rest in the one in whom winds blow and subside without leaving a mark on the sky. If numb or dry, if your sitting feels like striking a match on wet stone, if prayer tastes like a stale cracker sit anyway. Do not dramatize dryness as absence of God. Call it what it is, a sensation appearing in awareness. Presence is not a mood. Presence is God. I am the Lord, I change not. Sit until the faintest sense of aliveness stirs, not because you manufactured it, but because attention, ceasing to chase feelings, discovers life that was there before feeling. What is the sign? Sometimes only a thread more space around a thought, a thimble of warmth in the hands, the shoulders that lower 1/4 of an inch of their own accord. Sometimes there is no sign at all that your senses can certify. In either case, close with gratitude for presence, not for change. Give up gratitude for improved weather. Be grateful that, lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world, whether the inner forecast shows sunshine or fog. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as a mood that flatters you, but as a constancy that refuses to be measured by your skin. If the evaluating mind barges in with its clipboard, did it work? How many seconds? Any quieter? Any better? Catch it kindly in the act. That question is the old contract with two powers, and you must answer from your new citizenship. Answer: we are not going to try to do anything to it. Then return to orientation. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Present your identification and drop the inquiry. Do not debate the accountant. Do not let it walk you through columns of before, after. The more you audit, the more you prove that outcomes still sit on the throne. Give up gratitude for healings, for calm, for supply. Let your gratitude be for God alone, for the realization of God's presence, felt or unfelt. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who told you that a loud minute meant failure, or that a soft minute meant success? Presence is the same in both. Only your meter changes. Keep a little humor handy, because humor punctures the balloon without wounding the child. When you catch yourself scolding, why can't I get this right? Smile. Scolding is still resistance, still the ego bargaining for a prize. Treat the mind like a puppy that wandered into the flower bed. You do not deliver a sermon to a puppy. You pick it up, set it gently on the path, and continue your walk. Each time you notice, each time you have already returned, do not make a relic out of yesterday's perfect sit or a villain out of today's messy one. The sky is not proud on clear days nor ashamed on cloudy ones. It is sky. Fix this in your heart. Presence is constant. Your noticing wavers, that is all. Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you. Not because God had gone, but because your face had turned. So turn again and again without drama. When noise persists, witness. When numbness sets in, abide. When the scorekeeper asks, did it work? Bow out of the game. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do ever is bring the realization of God's presence. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Rest there, and let every so-called obstacle reveal itself as another doorway through which you enter the same room and find it, as always, already furnished. Now let us stand up from the chair and walk into the day, because this is where the teaching either leaves chalk on the board or becomes bread you can live by. Conversations will come, some warm, some sharp. Deadlines will lean over your shoulder. Traffic will flex its muscles at a yellow light. Let the mind play its part on that stage. You abide as the unhurried witness. You do not have to stop the play to know you are not a character in it. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring the realization of God's presence into the next minute and the next, so that while the sounds, sights, and emails rise and fall, you remain where liberty already is. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. You can be in it but not of it. Keep this picture, because it will save you much labor, the horizon. Sail toward it as hard as you like, and it still recedes. An empty mind is a horizon of that sort. If you make a project of reaching it, you will spend a brilliant life chasing a line that will not be caught. Presence does not live on the edge of your thought. Presence does not move at all. It is the still center in which the waves show off their whitecaps. So do not go to sea for silence. Sit inwardly in the cabin of the eye while the deckhands do what deckhands do. Be still and know that I am God. Be still does not mean fire the crew. It means rest in the captain. The more you chase the horizon, the more you prove it is outside you, the more you abide, the more you find that without chasing, the whole sea is within the one who does not sail. Think now of a palm, its fronds splayed into the wind. If you try to hang your piece on one frond, a favorable email, a friendly meeting, green lights all the way, you have made your well-being as flimsy as the next gust. Peace is not on a frond. Peace is in the tree life feeding them all. Presence is that life. One frond darkens with a cloud money. Another rattles health. Another shines affection. Do not climb after fronds with tape and wire. Stand at the trunk. Feel the sap that is not hurried by wind or polished by sunshine. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as a particular frond cooperating, but as life at the root recognized. When you stand at the trunk, every frond may do its weather, and none of it can subtract or add to what you are. Now a confession, because you have a right to ask whether this is theory. Years ago, when consciousness shifted, I noticed I still lived in the same city, with the same streets and the same theaters, but not in the same atmosphere. The appetite for mental drama, argument for sport, panic for fellowship, gossip as dessert, thinned without my deciding against it. I did not heroically drop it. It fell off like a coat in spring. Friends and habits that wanted a certain climate could not follow me in there, neither could I go back. Do not take that as a badge of holiness. It is simply what happens when presence becomes more dear than entertainment. All of this was brought about not by any other change than a change of consciousness. When your air changes, the old birds no longer flock there. So make it simple in motion. As you reach for the doorknob, bow within just a whisper, thank you, not for a result, but for God. At the crosswalk, as the light waits on you, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Once, with meaning, then drop the words and step. In the meaning, when the agenda grows teeth, do not arm wrestle the agenda. Touch the trunk, my peace I give unto you, and keep listening. In traffic, when the brake lights bloom red, notice the body's quick drum and smile. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If the horn has no commission from above, it cannot dictate your state. We are not going to try to change the lights. We are going to realize presence and let the lights be lights. This then is your quiet strength. A new consciousness reorders your mental life without fanfare. Thoughts pass, but you are not carried. Urgency knocks, but you are not conscripted. Who told thee that thou wast naked? Who said you were at the mercy of the next sentence, the next signal, the next face? Not God. Therefore, you walk on, presenting your identification as needed, making little inner bows, allowing the wind to have its weather and the schedule to have its hours, while your feet keep finding the same ground, presence. And because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, you discover that liberty does not arrive as a reward after the day behaves. It appears naturally as the atmosphere in which you live the day. Thank you. Now let us give this liberty a rhythm so simple you cannot miss it even on the busiest day. At least 3 times a day upon waking, around midday, and in the evening, sit down for 90 seconds to 3 minutes and sit not to manufacture a mood, but to wait until the Spirit stirs. How? Quietly. Present your password once with meaning where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and then stop, be still. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring the realization of God's presence to this minute. If the stirring comes as a light touch, a soft, yes, a 1/4-inch lowering of the shoulders, receive it and rest. If nothing noticeable appears, be no less content. Close with gratitude for God, thank you and rise. Be still and know that I am God. Do not let your concern be to make it work. Let your concern be to show up. Fix the anchors so they will not drift. Upon waking, before the hand reaches for the phone, sit on the edge of the bed 90 seconds and acknowledge, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Midday, before the meal or in the car between errands, sit 2 minutes if you have them, 90 seconds if you do not, and return to the trunk. Evening, before bed, do the same. Let the day pass in review without your verdicts while you rest in presence. 3 bells in a small town call the heart home. These are your bells. You can be in the day but not of it. Now for the on-demand moments, because the world will ring your doorbell without an appointment. When the inbox flashes and the chest tightens, when the child cries from the other room, when the traffic stops and the mind starts, when a voice in the meeting leans sharp, take 15 to 30 seconds and witness. Present your identification once. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty and rest. Do not add a second sentence to persuade a storm that has no commission from above. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If it has no commission, it has no law. Breathe, feel the floor under your feet, and continue. We are not going to try to change the scene. We are going to realize presence and let the scene be seen. Make, if you will, an integrity pledge, because this is where we spoil the loaf with too much handling. No chasing metrics. Do not let your concern be for output emails sent, tasks crossed off, thoughts reduced. Do not count quiet minutes as if heaven paid by the hour. Let your concern be for God alone, for the felt recognition of the One. Give up gratitude for improved statistics. Be grateful for presence. When the auditor in the head arrives with its clipboard, how many sittings, how many hushes? Smile and answer with your practice. We are not going to try to do anything to it. Then sit or pause and return. If community steadies you, pair with a friend for quiet accountability. Keep it sparse and clean. At day's end, share only your fidelity to the rhythm. Kept 3, kept 2, 1. No stories, no visions, no fishtails about how still the pond became. Do not compare experiences, because comparison is the old market putting prices on grace. Reply to each other with nothing more than thank you. Tomorrow, begin again. Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you, not because God had gone, but because your face had turned. And if you like to keep a small card in the pocket or a line in the journal, record grace, not outcomes. Note the moments of felt. Presence, a whisper of peace at the sink, a softening before the call, a sense of being carried on the stair, and give thanks, not to build a trophy case, but to educate the heart to notice what does not ask to be noticed. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. That is the entry, not panic gone, not deadline tamed, but God here. Steady, brief returns multiply liberty without feeding the mind's scoreboard. 3 sittings become like steady rain on a thirsty field. The on-demand pauses are the quick sips that keep you clear on the path. In it, but not of it, you will find that the day does not have to change its costume for you to walk free within it. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Set your bells, keep your pledge, present your identification, and walk on. And so we close where we began, not with a new trick for the mind, but with the old, ever-new fact that presence is. The storm of thought may circle, the headlines within may beat their drums, but you do not enter it. You stand where liberty already is. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let that be the benediction spoken over this very minute, not as a wish, but as a recognition. We are not going to try to do anything to it. All we are going to do is bring to this moment the realization of God's presence. If the mind continues its parade, let it march. Liberty is not the silence of the parade. Liberty is the presence in which noise has no law. Fix again the central light. There are not two powers. A thought, fear, panic, self-doubt has no law to enforce itself. It borrows your recognition, that is all. Chalk on a board can scrawl 2 times 2 is 5 from corner to corner and never become mathematics. So an anxious sentence can fill the foreground and never become authority. Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. If it has no commission from above, it has no jurisdiction here. Therefore, your one demonstration, from this day forward and backward through all days, is the realization of the presence of God. Seek presence, not control. Be still and know that I am God. When we attain that, liberty will be found there. Do not wait for better weather to begin. Let us take these next 90 seconds together as your first or your next act of freedom. Turn within without strain. Present your identification once with meaning. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Say it as you would your name to a friend, then let the words drop and witness. Feel the breath move without your command. Notice the sounds without giving them the badge of power. We are not bargaining for quiet. We are not timing results. We are simply withdrawing recognition from the parade and consenting to the one in whom it appears. If thoughts continue, let them. If the body hums, let it. Lo, I am with you always, whether the surface is glass or chop. For 90 seconds, let your only concern be that you sense, however lightly, the inward, yes, the surging of the Spirit, not as a mood, but as presence that does not consult your weather. When you rise from these 90 seconds, carry this charge into your next step. Do not bargain. Give up gratitude for altered conditions, quieter thoughts, smoother hours, kinder reports. Be grateful for God alone. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, not as a device to coax outcomes, but as the reordering of concern that lets outcomes become what they truly are, the shadow of consciousness. And because consciousness has changed, shadows rearrange of their own accord. You can be in it, but not of it. Go back into the same rooms, answer the same phone, meet the same faces, but not in the same atmosphere. Let your passwords be few and dear. Speak once, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you, and then live as if it were so, because it is so. Let this be the blessing placed quietly upon your heart as you go. Liberty is present now. It is not coming with the next pay period or the next practice or the next spiritual feeling. It is the atmosphere of the one in whom you already dwell. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. If you forget, remember. If you remember, abide. And if you abide, watch how gently the furniture of your life finds its right place without your arranging. Do not let your concern be for health or silence or supply. Let your concern be that you feel that inner yes to God's presence. The rest will take its proper place because the trunk has been found and the fronds can do their weather without ruling your day. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Take it, not to hold against the wind, but to rest as the one before whom wind and wave bow without argument. Thank you.